Next, we are going to study the topic price elasticity of demand.
Price elasticity of demand is percentage change in quantity demanded in response to percentage change in its price. Symbolically, it is written as EP is equal to percentage change in demand for the good divided by percentage change in price of the good, which is equal to delta Q by Q divided by delta P by P. If we simplify this formula, we get EP is equal to delta Q by delta P into P by Q, where EP is equal to price elasticity of demand, delta Q is change in quantity demanded, delta P is equal to change in price, P is initial price of the good, and Q is initial quantity of the good. Degrees of price elasticity of demand. There are 5 different degrees of price elasticity of demand. Perfectly elastic demand, perfectly inelastic demand, relatively elastic demand, relatively inelastic demand, unitary elastic demand. We are going to learn each type in detail. Perfectly elastic demand. Demand is said to be perfectly elastic when an insignificant change in price leads to infinite change in demand. That means a very small rise in price causes demand to fall to zero, or a very small fall in price causes infinite increase in demand. In both situations, percentage change in price is almost zero and percentage change in demand is almost infinity. Hence, EP is equal to infinity and demand curve is horizontal. In this diagram, we can see that demand has changed from D to D1 without any change in price. Perfectly inelastic demand. Demand is said to be perfectly inelastic when a large change in price leads to zero change in demand. That means a large rise or fall in price does not cause any change in demand. Here, percentage change in price is almost infinity and percentage change in demand is almost zero. Hence, EP is equal to 0 and demand curve is vertical. In this diagram, we can see that a large change in price from P to P1 has not produced any change in demand D. Relatively elastic demand. Demand is said to be elastic when a small change in price leads to bigger change in demand. That means a very small rise in price causes a larger fall in demand, or a very small fall in price causes a larger rise in demand. In both situations, a percentage change in price is less than percentage change in demand. Let us assume percentage change in price is 5% and percentage change in demand is 10%. Hence, EP is greater than 1 and demand curve is flatter. In this diagram, we can see that change in demand is D1, which is much more than change in price P1. Relatively inelastic demand. Demand is said to be relatively inelastic when a bigger change in price leads to smaller change in demand. That means a very large rise in price causes a smaller fall in demand, or a very large fall in price causes a smaller rise in demand. In both situations, percentage change in price is more than percentage change in demand. Let us assume percentage change in price is 10% and percentage change in demand is 5%. Hence, EP is less than 1 and demand curve is steeper. In this diagram, we can see that change in demand DD1 is much smaller than change in price PP1. Unitary elastic demand. Demand is said to be unitary elastic when a percentage change in price leads to same percentage change in demand. That means a rise in price causes the demand to fall in the same proportion, or a fall in price causes the demand to rise in the same proportion. In both situations, percentage change in price is same as the percentage change in demand. Let us assume percentage change in price is 5% and percentage change in demand is also 5%. Hence, EP is equal to 1 and demand curve takes the shape of a rectangular hyperbola. In the diagram we can see that change in demand Q1 Q2 is same as the change in price P1 P2.